The legacy drive-by dinosaur media is freaking out because they believe they've lost all control over society. No longer influential, they've lost their luster to the new age influencers. Today, we'll tell you what's going on in the full-blown panic, and we'll explain why the age of podcasters is here. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to have you joining us. Welcome to the place that accurately recognized the troubles that were happening across ABC News, CBS News, the rest of the drive-by legacy news media dinosaurs, and also figured out that Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and many more were transforming the landscape of media. Today, we're taking it one step further by giving you analysis of the freakout, the panic that is ensuing all across Hollywood, the coastal elites, and more. Panel, let's get started. All we ask from you is click the like button. Here we go. Here is out of livemint.com. All right, folks, here's what we're going to talk about for a little bit. And it is that today is a referendum, not only on free speech and what we're going to do with it, not only is a referendum on which way the world is going to go, it's a referendum on the power of the dinosaur legacy media, do the networks, and their ability to be inside every single person's home all the time. Do they still have the control, the cachet that they think they have? Do they have the sway to sway elections? Or is the new media, the internet, the brand new personalities, the Joe Rogans, the Megyn Kellys, the PBDs, I can keep going, the pros, the Midnight Edges, the Culture Casinos, the Derek Andersons, the Tabithas, the everybody else, the all of yous out there. Do we have the views? Well, we'll find out. Here's what Live Mint has to say. U.S. elections 2024 imbalance in TV coverage of the Orange Man, the cackler, says report. Here's what it says. Ahead of the U.S. elections in 2024, a recent study from the Media Research Center found that presidential race coverage between former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris on ABC, CBS, and NBC News has been the most lopsided in history. As per a report by Fox News, according to the analysis published just a week before the election, Harris has enjoyed 78% positive coverage since July. Now, folks, notice that when we say she's enjoyed 78% positive coverage since she became the candidate, that does not mean that the other 22% was negative. Could be neutral. We don't know what the percentages are of neutral versus negative. While Trump has faced 85% negative coverage. And conversely, we don't know if that means 15% was positive or if there was 10% neutral and 5% positive. The difference in coverage between the two candidates is far greater than in 2016. Let that sink in. The difference here is far different than in 2016. And it goes to show just how hard of a shift we have seen, to the point now where many view the legacy dinosaur media as simply propaganda. The MRC reported that ABC, CBS, and NBC have dedicated over 200 minutes of airtime predominantly focusing on negative coverage of controversies surrounding one of the candidates, while often downplaying or ignoring issues related to Harris. All right, let's go to Fox for a moment now, and let's see how this is going. Their efforts, right? Here's the results. This by Joseph A. Wolfson and Alexa Motivelis. It says, TV executive panics. That Trump winning means press has no influence. Mainstream media is dead. Now, we don't know what the results of the election are going to be yet, but it says in this, some in the news industry are sounding the alarm about the prospects of another election victory for former President Trump, with one even predicting the death of the legacy media. A report in New York Magazine's Intelligencer? I don't know. On Wednesday, I don't know, put a spotlight on the sheer panic within the media, largely focusing on the turmoil erupting at the Washington Post after its billionaire owner, Jeff Bezos, halted the paper's endorsement of Vice President Kamala, Harris. That joke's old now. More broadly, one network executive told features writer Charlotte Klein, it's going to change everything if Trump wins. The exec said it could signify the complete failure of the news industry. Now, let me say, that's not true. It would signify the complete failure of the legacy news media, the new news media is thriving.
Yeah.
If half the country has decided that Trump is qualified to be president, that means that they're not reading any of this media. And we've lost the audience completely. A Trump victory means mainstream media is dead in its current form. Panel, do you believe that to be true? And even more so, what will be the reaction from the mainstream media post-election? Are we facing a crackdown on the new media, or are we facing a new tomorrow where the new media becomes more mainstream?
So I think before we even get to that question, we have to see what they're actually admitting here. They're admitting that they have an agenda, and that is their agenda. I love when these people tell on themselves and tell us that what we accuse them of or what we think that they're doing is actually what they are doing, because that is exactly what this executive said here. They are admitting what they are doing, because if Trump wins, then their campaign against him failed, because they did have a campaign against him. So I just wanted to point that out there. These people are always telling on themselves. They always tell us what they're doing. And they, even though they try to maybe obfuscate it in some manner or form.
I don't think that it's going to necessarily make it. It's going to make it irrelevant in the case that nobody's going to really believe it, but I don't think it's going to make it disappear. They're just going to work harder to find ways to attract people. The way that social media now has attracted people. I think something else that makes news more interesting for people on mobile devices through social media and stuff like that is the fact that you can interact quickly, whereas when you watch something on TV, you can't click something and be like, oh, let me read this link, versus when you see something on TV, they're like, allegedly this report says whatever. Well, now I have to, and look, like we're first world country, we're lazy people. It's like, well, now I have to whip out my phone, type in the address, and put some effort into researching it. Whereas when we read it on social media, it's like, oh, this is interesting. Let me click on this. I can search, I can do, everything's right here in the palm of my hand. And so I think that legacy media will have to get more creative, or they're going to have to go back to actually reporting real news instead of gossip to attract people. And honestly, I could see that in a couple of years, because things tend to like go into a circle where they're like, hey guys, crazy idea. It's going to be like this young new professional person in like 5 years that says, what if we just like told people what they wanted to hear? Like, instead of saying we suspect, we actually know, like actually tell them what's true. And then be like, that's a really great idea. Let's just try that, just kind of go in this circle. And it's like, hey, now people are listening to us because we are a reliable source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Look, newspapers have been going downhill for a while. Nobody reads the paper anymore. Paper subscriptions have been drying up. So we know that that's already, kind of a dead end when it comes to legacy media. And then on top of that, you have, social media kind of taken over. It's more interactive. People can, participate. You see an article on social media, you click on a link, you can, comment, you can become involved in the conversation. So it's just more, it's a place people want to go when they want to get news. And then plus we saw during the lockdowns, there was a lot of misinformation going around, from the legacy media. We had people, like we could see with our own two eyes all of the protests and everything that were going on. But at the same time, they were saying, oh, well, if you go to this other event over here, it's a super spreader event and you're a bad person. So everybody's like, well, wait a minute, hold up. People aren't stupid. People know when they're being gaslit. And so I think what has happened now is that people are more distrustful of the media than ever before, just because of stunts like that. And now we're starting to see the boomerang effect where everybody's just like, well, I'm not listening to these guys anymore. And I'm going to start listening to folks like Joe Rogan, because he just has an honest conversation. He's talking like I would talk. And, so if I had an opportunity to sit down and have an interview with Elon or Trump or whoever, this is exactly the same kind of questions I would ask. Mm-hmm. And, he's more into the things that they're into with the MMA and the boxing and the fighting. So it just feels like one of us is talking to, someone. And that's where we're starting to see people gravitate towards, in this country when it comes to social media, when it comes to where do I get my information from? Who do I go to listen to the politicians or listen to the celebrities or the entertainers or whatever it may be? So, yeah, I think that legacy media is dying. I don't think we're going to see too much. Or like Tabitha said, maybe they just say, hey, let's just go back to reporting the news. Let's get all of the, the pundits out of the room. Let's just start focusing on actual journalism, which is what we used to get back in the day, 70s, 80s, and so on. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to rebound.
In both of you are right in my thoughts, is because it's so much easier to pursue actual news now. You can actually do journalism unfettered. That's what the new media is all about, is the instantaneous gratification of the distribution of information. This is what's happening now. This is what's happening. Oh, by the way, your town is burning up because of the lack of leadership, because they want to let everybody have a temper tantrum because something didn't go their way. And This is what's happening. That's news. That's information. And the motivation is plain to see. And, the problem is that legacy media likes to stomp on that and tell you, no, you're wrong. That, these people are good for burning down your local hospital. It's fine.
But Culture, what about the situation with, I can't remember the lady that was interviewing, but JD Vance, where she's talking to him about the Colorado apartments getting taken over. And, she was like, well, it's only a couple of apartments or something like that. Like, it's not that many apartment buildings that are getting taken over. And they're like, well, but the fact that it's happening.
How many's okay? How many's not okay? Okay.
Or the dogs and cats of Springfield, Ohio, where it's like, oh, that's not actually happening. It's like, yeah, but we've actually had several people with their phones posting on TikTok of Haitian migrants in their front yard eating cats, and it's like, oh, but the commissioner or whatever of the town said that that's not actually happening. But the people are saying it's happening.
People on the ground are
I just want to note that I talked to the mayor of Twitter and the mayor of LinkedIn, and they said that they hadn't heard about it. So obviously it's not happening. So fact check debunked.
Right.
Okay, thanks. So don't believe your eyes. And this is the other problem that we're dealing with modern media, right? The legacy media, the old media, the people who are corrupted, right? These are the leftover boomers. These are the really old people that are clinging on to these ideas that maybe they've been able to pass down the line. And editorially, they believe one thing that is factually incorrect so much. Right? They have a certain perspective, a worldview that they believe in so much, they're willing to compromise the information they provide to others. See, anybody that's in that kind of a position of authority, that's an EIC, right? It's not like anybody on this panel is an EIC, but look, if you're the editor in charge, right? You should not be inserting your worldview into your news gathering. Exactly. You just shouldn't.
Culture, can I interrupt briefly just to say, folks, we're pulling these up on X.
Amazing stuff.
I didn't search for Peanut. I didn't search for Harambe. I didn't search for Fred. Literally every post in my feed currently is either the election or Peanut.
Dude, your algorithm's messed up, bro.
Put this baby to bed. This video is over. Turn off the lights, but not quite yet, folks, because we do ask one final thing before we say goodbye, and that is, would you consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Also greatly appreciated. Anytime you would like to share this out on your favorite social media platforms, well, we would love that. And we'd also love to hear your thoughts. Folks, drop a comment down below and use that beautiful mind of yours. If you would not mind, we'd love to know what you're thinking. Also, if you would like to become a member of the channel, it's as simple as clicking the join button. It is the price of a soda per month, and you'll gain access to all kinds of new, cool, exclusive information. Folks, until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.